Yep. Okay. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Hey, Have You Seen That Film? Where today I will be discussing 1996's Dragonheart. In the 90s, Universal had a lot of fun action-adventure movies. At least in my opinion. And we had the hit of The Mummy, one of my all-time favorite movies. We had Waterworld, which you may not like it, but I actually really enjoy Waterworld. And so Universal, I think, had a lot of fun movies, fun adventure movies coming out, and Dragonheart is one of those fun movies. It stars Dennis Quaid as the knight Bowen, and it also stars the voice of Sean Connery, Sir Sean Connery, as Drago the Dragon. The story is about a knight who is training the king's son to be a swordsman and a knight of the old code. And the king ends up dying, the son takes the crown, the son gets injured, and the dragon, they take the son to the dragon, the prince, who's now the king, to a dragon. And his mother, the queen, asks the dragon to please do what he can. The dragon gives part of his heart to the prince, Einan. Well, power goes right to Einan's head, and he already has ideas of what he wants to do, and so obviously he becomes this bad king and ruling over the land, and Bowen feels betrayed, and he becomes a dragon slayer because he feels like it's the dragon who put the evil into him. So he goes around slaying dragons. Well, when he faces off with one dragon, he finds out that this is the last dragon, and so the dragon says, if you kill me, then we're done. Like, you're done. You're not going to make any more money off of us. And so they create an alliance. They start scamming villages so Bowen can make money, and he and the dragon form, you might say, an unlikely friendship. But as time goes on, they end up uniting the peasants against Einan to fight his evil power that he reigns over the kingdom. I enjoy Dragonheart a lot. It's one of my favorite films from the 90s, and I love the simplicity of the good versus evil within the film. I love it. To me, it's very clear who's bad, who's good, and you get to watch. You can watch the good guys rise up, and I always kind of enjoy those films where the evil is stronger, but the good rises up together and fights off the bad. I think what's interesting about this film and the costumery is we have Dennis Quaid, who plays the hero, yet Dennis Quaid wears black. That's what his character was. And then we have David Thewlis. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right. He plays Professor Lupin in Harry Potter and The Prisoner of Azkaban. But his character wears white. So I like in their costumery that the good guy wears black and the bad guy wears white. I thought that was an interesting swap up, because usually we think white. People, usually in films, black always represented the bad guys. So I thought that was interesting. I think the sword fights in these movies are great. Apparently Dennis Quaid trained for months, if I remember correctly, with like a samurai in order to switch up his sword skill from just the typical sword skills you'd see in these kind of movies. And so it was cool to see Dennis Quaid in action in this movie. It makes me laugh. If you've seen this movie before, Dennis Quaid, I don't know why, but every time when he's fighting and his sword hits, he's it's kind of funny, but yeah, the sword fights are awesome in this movie, and it's particularly awesome to watch Dennis Quaid use a sword. I also enjoy the relationship between Bowen and Drago, the dragon. Watching them become friends, going from two people who hated each other and learning to become friends. There's a moment where in the beginning Dennis Quaid just keeps calling, or Bowen keeps calling Drago Dragon, and he finally says, I have a name, and Bowen's like, I'm sorry, like, what is your name? And he tells him he couldn't even pronounce it in his own language, or that Bowen wouldn't be able to pronounce it. And so one night while Bowen's looking up at the stars, he says, I have a name for you now, and he points up at a constellation that makes a dragon, and he says that constellation is called Drago, which also meant dragon, and Drago does say, so you're going to call me dragon in another tongue? And he's like, yeah, I guess that's stupid, and Drago's like, no, I actually really like that. Anyway, that's a long explanation of a long little clip there. But Dragonheart it's got a lot of fun characters included. There is the character of Brother Gilbert. He's a friar who joins the cause, and he's a really good archer. And there's a funny scene where, because he is a friar, he's got this whole thou shalt not kill, but he's like the best marksman in the whole army. So he's got a few scenes where he's hitting people in the buttocks, or he's setting off these traps because he doesn't want to kill people, but he also doesn't want people on his side to get killed. And then you have Kara, who is this warrioress, essentially. She's the one who originally tries to get the rebellion to get everyone to fight against Einon, and she tries to get Bowen, and Bowen won't, and then eventually, with the help of Drago, Bowen joins, and Kara's pretty cool. There's a battle scene where she wields 2 axes and taking out guys. It's awesome. Again, I think Dragonheart is just it's a fun movie, and it's an enjoyable, simple, good versus evil. And I like the sword fighting. I love the relationships between Drago and Bowen. But you also can't not talk about Dragonheart and not talk about the theme to Dragonheart. If you haven't heard it before, check it out. You might have even, you'll recognize it, oh, I think I have heard this before. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece of music. Before I was married, when Lauren and I were dating, and she hadn't even seen Dragonheart, she didn't see it until she met me. I've showed her a lot of movies. She knew the theme to Dragonheart because she'd heard it before, and it really is beautiful. So I recommend checking that out to anybody. But yeah, as I said, this is a fun movie. It was made right after Jurassic Park, because Jurassic Park kind of showed that we do have the technology to make dinosaurs and these mythical creatures. Well, dinosaurs aren't mythical, but and so they use that same kind of technology to create Drago. A fun fact about the film, the director, Rob Cohen, who directed the first Fast and Furious movie, in order to try and make Drago's facial features more like Sean Connery, he took a bunch of clips of Sean Connery and wrote different emotions with these clips, and anytime they needed Drago to look happy or angry or sad, he said, okay, go look in there and you'll find a clip of Sean Connery mad or Sean Connery happy. And that's how they kind of tried to base the face of Drago off of Sean Connery's own facial features and emotions. So that's cool. If you've seen my previous video, French Kiss, French Kiss and Dragonheart were filmed around the same time of each other, and it was when Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan were married. And so I think Dennis Quaid would fly on the weekends over to see Meg Ryan when he had a break from filming, just to be with her. But again, this movie is Dragonheart. It's a wonderful movie. It's one that I've enjoyed for years. I've watched it since I was a kid, and I love it. So check it out. You will not regret it. See ya.